Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for attending our council meeting today, the 10th of September, a beautiful sunny 10th of September. I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll call for attendance, and I'm identifying Councillor Graham and Councillor Carr are not with us for the record. Item number 2, moment of reflection. I'll refer to the clerk, please.
May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. Help us to be concerned only for what will promote good government. May we bring to our council chamber minds that think and hearts that feel, always having respect for others so that we may serve the people of our city in a helpful manner and for the good of all.
Amen. Thank you. Be seated. Okay. Item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Councillor McCaw.
8B6, grant committee decision regarding the Quinte Humane Society.
Okay, and you'll submit a form to the clerk? Thank you so much. Councillor. And Councillor Panchak?
8B10, it deals with the Quinte Mall, and I have an interest.
Okay, and you'll send a form off to the clerk also. Thank you. Okay. Item number 5, reading and confirmation of the minutes. The minutes of the regular council meeting dated the 27th of August 2018 and the regular in-camera meeting August 27, 2018. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Miller, a seconder, Councillor Thompson. All in favor? All opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, deputation 6.1 and 6.2. 6.2 has been cancelled. They're referring it to the next council meeting, so we have special presentations today. I have the honor of presenting a couple of sovereign medals to a couple of great volunteers in our community. And I have some notes. I have Mr. David Little is in the audience, and also Lawrence Allen. So Lawrence Allen has been involved in various cadet organizations throughout his entire life, helping to build the Navy League Cadet Corps in Trenton into one of the top corps in the province of Ontario. He has trained numerous cadets in orienting and marksmanship and has raised funds for cadet competition and cancer research. And Mr. Little, David has been a driving force behind the establishment and restoration of O'Hara Mill Homestead. His leadership has led to increased tourism, a stronger local economy, and more connected rural community and greater interest in its pioneer history. If you can please join me in congratulating Mr. Allen and Mr. Little. This is for Mr. Little, and this also is some history on the award that's presented on behalf of the province of Ontario. You should be tremendously proud. The result you can come out here, so nice to meet you. And this is also the camera. So what we have here is a gorgeous bell. So what that one looks like. And then I'll congratulations on having the province. You can have a little time. And also, as mentioned earlier, I'm very proud to present another award to Mr. Lawrence Allen. And you are, yes, you are, sir. A round of applause for you, sir. Congratulations. Now, there's actually a whole session how to accept this one. Oh, but you've got one. Oh, let's play on this one. He's got one. Fantastic. Congratulations. Of course. Very nice. Congratulations to both and to your families, and thank you very much on behalf of our community and also all the volunteers that you assist and help and guide. Muchly appreciated. Item number 7 on our agenda is correspondence, and seeing none. Item number 8 is a committee of the whole. Motion to go into committee of the whole and to hear and consider reports, passings, and recommendations and resolutions with Councillor Deniers will be our alternate in the chair. Can I get a motion for that? Councillor Panchak, second by Councillor Miller. All in favor? Do you want a recorded vote on that? No. Oh, that's carried. Thank you. Okay. Welcome to the chairmanship.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We'll start off with reports. 8A, the agenda shall include under reports report items that warrant individual attention from council. 8A1, the amendment to traffic bylaw number 12967, Schedule Z1, compulsory turns, Schedule U, no left turns, Donald Street and North Front Street. And this item was tabled to today from the meeting of August the 27th, 2018. The resolution reads, that a bylaw to approve and authorize an amendment to bylaw number 12967, being a bylaw to regulate traffic within the corporate limits of the corporation of the City of Belleville. Schedule Z1, compulsory turns, and Schedule U, no left turns at Donald Street and North Front Street, as outlined in report number DCC 2018-12, be prepared for council's consideration. Can I have a mover for that resolution? Councillor Thompson.
I'd like to move this one to the traffic committee.
Refer to the traffic committee. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Miller. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. (8B) consent items. Council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. That the following agenda items be approved with the exception of, start with Councillor Panchak.
No, thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
8B6.
Your worship.
Good, thank you.
Councillor Miller.
8B6 and 8B8, please.
Councillor Boyce. Councillor McCaw. Yes. Yep. We'll do that one separately, 8B6. Okay. And I'd like to speak on 8B11. Okay, so that was 8B6, 8B8, and 8B11. Can I have a motion to approve? Councillor Thompson, seconded by... We'll pull 8B10. Yeah. We'll do that one first. the municipal, first of all. Okay, seconder for the exceptions then, seconder, Your Worship, all in favor? Carried. Dealing with 8B6, which one's first? 8B6 is the City of Belleville Grant Committee. Councillor McCaw took a conflict. Director of Finance Treasurer's Report number DF 2018-22. The resolution reads that Council approve the recommendations of the Grant Committee for those applications outlined in the Director of Finance Treasurer's Report number DF 2018-22, City of Belleville Grant Committee. Can I have a mover for that resolution, please? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Panchuk. Any discussion? Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Madam Chair. The 120 days, and I know this has been in front of us many times, but the 120 days required to have an application in prior to the event, was that ever adjusted after the meetings went from quarterly to monthly? Or was that the same thing carried over?
So we'll ask our chair, Councillor Panchuk.
Yeah. No, that number was not adjusted afterwards. It was the original deadline, as Council Mayor said, when we were dealing with quarterly meetings.
The reason I ask, and I guess in this particular instance, and I understand the need for rules, I understand why we have a criteria, I've always supported it, but there were a couple that came up in this group. And I know, keeping by the letter of the criteria, I understand why they're being denied. But one's the Terry Fox Foundation for the Terry Fox Run, and another is Food for Thought, and there was a third one, not monetary, it was in terms of services provided. The Terry Fox Foundation, as a council, we support and have done so in many ways. They would have had to have had this request in last May. And I do know that I was talking to the organizer, who's been in front of us different times, Vicky Samaras, and they didn't have their information by May. And I'm not talking about from the city, I'm just talking about from a coordination perspective. So they had not filed in terms of meeting that date. The Food for Thought, that was yesterday, but again, what they're asking for is the waiving of fees. I know you had a lot of requests, particularly when additional monies were made available from the casino fund, and that's good to see. These are not monetary, these are use of municipality assets, and I would like to make a motion that the fees be waived for C, the Terry Fox Foundation, and E, the Food for Thought, Quinte Food for Thought event. And as much as it was yesterday, the 120 days, I think, is something now that the committee is meeting a lot more regularly, could be looked at going forward. Perhaps the next council can look at part of that. But I'd like to make that motion to accept the requests.
So just speaking to that, or perhaps Councillor Panchuk, so as you know, I'm a member of that committee, and we were under some tight guidelines at this particular meeting because of the funding, right. And our hands were tied because of a lame duck council. So perhaps our treasurer might explain whether or not we can even entertain your motion because there were no funds left at the end of the day. Yeah,
in these particular instances, Madam Chair, these do not require any money.
Okay.
This is strictly an offset of municipal services.
Councillor Panchuk.
Yeah, just to clarify, Madam Chair, so the social infrastructure funding requests that were left over from the original group of applications, those were the ones that we were not allowed to issue any additional funds. The first part of the report from the committee deals with our regular grant committee with the budget. And there were 3 applications that were turned down. The Quinte Humane Society for some fencing for their Wiggle Walk-thon, the Terry Fox Foundation, as well as the Food for Thought, because they did not meet the 120 days that were required. We have sufficient funds in the budget. They are below the maximum we're allowed to authorize the City Council. So they could be, if Council directed us, they could be filled. And certainly I would support all 3 of those applications being
And that was granted. The third one. I just didn't have at my fingertips regarding Quinte Humane Society. So that would be the third. And again, it's services as opposed to financial outlay by the municipality.
Okay. Councillor Boyce.
Just that I would second it.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Boyce, that we include C, the Terry Fox Foundation, Food for Thought, and what was the other one? A? Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. Okay, so is that an amending motion? Okay. That's an amending motion then, so any further discussion on that? Further discussion? Councillor Thompson.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Daniels. I'm going to speak in favor of it because, you know, all these three here are great organizations in the city of Belleville, and I realize it's short notice in some of them, but in particular, I want to speak in favor of the Food for Thought, Quinny. I happened to attend that function yesterday. It was very well attended. One of the speakers came in from Toronto at free of charge, and we all know the situation with the mental health situation worldwide, and how we need to try to address that. And the effort they went towards that for yesterday's effort certainly is beneficial. The Terry Fox Run, we know that one lady has certainly come forward to address it, and the Community Humane Society is working very hard to try to raise funds for a new facility. So I'm going to speak in favor of it. I know we don't normally do this, but as Councillor Miller would said, the committee meets more often now, and maybe we need to, at the next stage, look at the 120 days. But I think they're all good organizations, so I'm going to vote in favor of it.
Your Worship.
So can I just get a little bit of clarity here that we said C, which is the Terry Fox Run, and it identifies some services and equipment that the corporation has that we can assist that organization with. And then also, the E, the Food for Thought, which was the event yesterday, which would be similar to that, excuse me. But the Quinny Humane Society, it identifies money, so financial assistance of $500. So the comment was made that it's services only, but this one is money. Can you walk me through that, Madam Chair?
It's money. It's different than the request that Councillor Miller was putting forward. Perhaps Councillor Panchuk as chair can explain.
Yeah, the request is for fencing for the event at Zwick's Park, and $500 will go towards providing temporary fencing for the event.
Okay, so can I just, and I'm supporting of the projects. So can you just, Madam Chair, this program is the grant committee program. It'd be nice, I think I'd mentioned this before, to get a small little balance sheet every time it comes through so we know. So an example would be there's resources that go to the grant committee. There's resources, and I like to know what they start off with per calendar year. And then there's the social program from the Shoreline Casino Municipal Agreement. And then also, does the cultural program fall in here also, the $25,000? So I don't want to get the treasurer at a disadvantage, and if he is, I apologize. We can do this next time. But can you give me just an approximate dollar value for the calendar year for the special interest groups?
Sure. Well, I'll ask our Director Cousins to give some clarification.
Thank you.
Yes, to the Mayor, the Arts and Cultural Fund grant request is $25,000 a year, and it's funded from Viridian dividends, and it's been ongoing for a couple of years. The social infrastructure grant is was $139,000, and that was based on the 5% of the prior year's casino allocation.
Thank you.
And the regular grant committee, I believe it's close to $200,000 on an annual basis.
Okay. Thank you. So can I just do the follow-up to Madam Chair?
Yep.
It may not even go to Treasury. And these examples here, like let's just pick the Food for Thought, and it's a fantastic program. But for us, just agreeing, what exactly are we going to assist that organization with? Because this is services. This is product that it would have come from our municipality. So can you walk me through that? Just so I know that there is a benefit here that we're assisting the organization. For instance, I'm just thinking out loud, the tables and chairs probably would have been anticipated coming from the corporation. The electrical services probably from the corporation, and the garbage receptacles, portables, the toilets. Is that what, as a grant committee, what you would have looked at, that these services would have come from the corporation? I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around the difference between services that should cost us nothing, but you deny them. Not you, the system allows you to deny them. That's all.
I'll let Councillor Panchuk answer the question as he's chair of the committee.
Well, and so maybe I'll go back and refresh some people's memories here, because we've gone through a process. The City of Belleville tries to assist community groups and organizations in a variety of ways. One of the ways that we have been helping them is providing services and facilities where we waive the fees. And in order to have a proper way to account for it, we've tried to monetize what the city's contribution is. So for example, the question now is about food for thought, and the waiving of the fees and the use of those equipment comes to a total of $1,602.16. Now, that is not a cash outlay for us, but if we were to go back and try to monetize staff time, to use of their equipment, tear down garbage collection, all those things, that's what that monetized figure is. The grant committee does have a significant budget. It's not necessarily used in cash, but our budget is $334,000 on the year. So far this year, for the period ending August 31st, City Council has approved approximately $219,000 worth of assistance. Again, not cash, but monetized value. Some of it has been cash in some areas, but a monetized value. And so there's about $114,000 left in that account for the remainder of this calendar year. The three items that we're discussing right now, the first one, the Quinte Humane Society, the combination of the fencing as well as the waiving of park fees brings a total of $816.48. The Terry Fox facility, there I have an incomplete number. I apologize. I know that the waiving of fees is $129, and there were a few $100 more in city services. And then, as I just said, food for thought was $1,602.16.
Yeah, very well explained. In the future, it'd be nice if it was in our report as a council, so we know, because you've identified it in a couple of them, they're very good, just so we get a better understanding of what those services are.
I think we can ask staff to do that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So that was an amending motion. We have the vote on it. All in favor? Carried. Going back to the original motion then, can I have a mover for the recommendation? Moved and seconded. Okay. All in favor as amended? Approved. Carried. What's the next one? 8B8. We'll do 8B10 next one. Let's just take a contact. Oh. Yeah. 8B8. Okay, so the next one is the Emergency Management Mutual Support Agreement, 8B8. Councillor Miller moved this motion. It's the Director of Fire and Emergency Services Report Number Resolution that pursuant to the Director of Fire and Emergency Services Fire Chief's Report Number DFES 2018-07, the City of Belleville enter into the mutual support agreement with the participating member municipalities of Hastings County, Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte First Nation, the City of Belleville, the City of Quinte West, Prince Edward County, and that a bylaw be prepared for Council's consideration. So that's moved by Councillor Miller. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Your Worship. Discussion.
Yep.
Councillor Miller.
Thanks, Madam Chair. No, it was just a question, perhaps through you to Chief McDonald. Has it always been the case where the support shall be borne by the responding party providing the aid, in as much as we're providing, not we, but the municipalities are providing the assistance, so it automatically goes with it, they also absorb the cost? Through you to the Chief.
Chief McDonald?
Certainly, through the chair to Councillor Miller. This type of mutual support agreement has really come about through Emergency Management Ontario, and what they looked at was the model of what the fire service has had for decades, which is the Fire Mutual Aid Program through the Ontario Mutual Aid Plan and through the Fire Protection and Prevention Act. And this is really an extension of that into the emergency management, almost as a parallel kind of process where in the past we would do things in kind for one another as municipalities, but we didn't have really a structured document. And this was really initiated by Senator Hastings, Fire Chief Bob Branscombe, and then Kathy Leahy-Francis, who's their emergency management person. And it's the forward-thinking idea of making sure that everybody understands that that the mutual aid goes just beyond the fire services. Quite often during emergency events, it might actually be, say, our works folks in environmental operations who actually might be the heavy horsepower. And a municipality may need help with, say, snow clearing for a major event. How can they get access to, say, more plows? So this is just sort of putting that into a formalized structure. Again, there's avenues to revisit. Obviously, if there's a significant cost to a municipality, there would have to be some discussions that would go on. Hopefully, with the provincial government, they would also recognize that maybe there needs to be some sort of a funding program for that. So it's really formalizing a handshake to help each other as neighbors through an emergency management perspective. And then we hope through proper planning and practicing and prevention that we avoid having to exercise that mutual support agreement too often. And as an example, in the fire mutual aid, we have 18 fire departments, and we probably have 4 or 5 activations a year involving 1 or 2 apparatus. So it was more of a way to find out what resources all the municipalities had, so that in the event you needed more than what you have in your inventory, you could reach into another municipality and ask for assistance. And Deb did a lot of work on this, and it was praised by emergency management. This is very forward-thinking, and we're one of the first jurisdictions or regions in the province that's really sort of taken this concept of mutual support to make sure that everyone understands how to support each other during major events.
Thank you for the clarity.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. 8B10. Is that the next one? Yep. Municipal bylaw enforcement officers, the request from Quinte Mall, and Councillor Panchuk took a conflict. So the resolution reads that a bylaw to appoint municipal bylaw enforcement officers for property known as Quinte Mall be prepared for council's consideration. Can I have a mover for that resolution, please? Councillor Boyce, Councillor Miller. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. He'll be back? Okay, we'll just keep going. So, 8B11. He said he'd be back.
He'll be back. Okay.
I don't know when he'll be back, but he said he'll be back. 8B11, Farm 911, the Emily project. I would like to speak on that. I should leave the chair. Can you step in? Okay.
AP11, Farm 911, the Emily Project, General Manager, Transportation and Operation Services, report GMTOS 2018-05, the resolution that the General Manager of Transportation and Operation Services, report number GMTOS 2018-05 regarding Farm 911, the Emily Project, be received as information. Moved by Councillor Daniels. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Boyce. It's on the floor.
Thank you. So I'd like to speak on Farm 911. It's a very important project, rural project, and it was hosted and brought to everyone's attention this year at the plowing match a month ago. So what I'd like to know is whether or not, and this question goes through to our General Manager of Transportation Operations, Joe Reid. I'd like to know, Manager Reid, if the City of Belleville is actively participating in this program, and if so, how do we go about ordering a sign, and if you could explain the process.
through the chair to Councillor Deniers. Our city staff have been meeting with the Hastings County Working Group, who've been working on coming up with a coordinated approach for 911 signs throughout Hastings County. In the past, if somebody's called about vacant land, we've assigned 911 similar to this situation, but this is kind of formalizing it and a coordinated approach across the county. So if somebody does want to have a 911 sign associated to a vacant piece of property, we're going to be having a form online. It's a plug-and-play form that you can fill out the application. A staff member will go out and help measure a distance so they can assign a sign approximately to where it needs to be. But we'll also have paper copies as well for those who don't have internet access, and they can come in and fill it out and we'll assign it.
So so is the municipality of the city of Belleville sticking with the green 911 signs, or are they different color?
No, we stick them, it's actually blue.
Blue, okay. So if Denhaven Farms wants a sign on their property, we just have to call you and tomorrow there'll be a sign there, or very soon thereafter?
It'll be a couple weeks, but yes.
Okay, I just needed to know that it was in play, because when you go on the internet, it lists all the municipalities in Hastings County that are participating, and the city of Belleville is not listed. So we need to get that on there. Okay.
Anyone else on this? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Passed.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. 8C, Council Information Matters. Council may adopt council items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. Councillor Panchuk?
No, thank you.
Councillor Thompson?
No, thank you.
Your worship? Okay, Councillor McCaw? Councillor Boyce? Councillor Miller?
No, thank you.
Okay, so motion to receive the agenda items. Your worship? Seconded by Councillor Panchuk. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Rise and report. Motion to rise and report. Councillor Miller, Councillor Panchuk. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you very much, Councillor Deniers. Okay, so it takes us to number 9, bylaws. So it'll be the first reading of the bylaws, and if it's consent of council, we'll read the numbers only. So 2018-139, 2018-140, 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, and 146. First reading of the bylaws, moved by Councillor Boyce, second by Councillor Deniers. All in favor? All opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Second reading of the bylaws before us, 2018-139, 140, 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, and 146. Second reading of the bylaws, moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Miller. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And the third and final reading of the bylaws. It's 218-139, 140, 141, 142, 143, 144, 145, and 146. Third and final reading of the bylaws, moved by Councillor Deniers, second by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? All opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you very much. Any new business for the good of the community? Councillor McCaw.
Thank you. Just a quick question for the clerk. Earlier this year, there was a complaint that was, I guess, lodged about some breakfast meetings where council were alleged to be in attendance. Some questions from residents, and I also received an email basically discussing this, implying a lack of cooperation from some members of the parties that were being investigated. And I'd like to ask you now, basically the quote that I received was, how can we investigate if witnesses choose to be unavailable? Can you tell me, is that correct? Is that something that you are dealing with? Is that something that is occurring?
To the clerk.
Through the chair to Councillor McCaw. So I've had some back and forth with the investigator. I have not got clarification on that, but I have asked a couple of the council members that have been mentioned in that, and they have not been contacted by the investigator. So specifically who the investigator is referring to as the witnesses being uncooperative is unknown to me. I've made a number of attempts to contact the investigator, so as far as who he was referring to in that email that I was also copied in, at this point I couldn't answer who he's referring to, but I can assure you I'm still working with the investigator.
Thanks. I just bring this up just because I think it's important that we need to clear it up, and I wonder what the next steps are. I mean, they're pretty serious allegations, one way or another. Either they're not true or they are true, and I'd just like to know what next steps. You know, clearly you're indicating to me that, you know, maybe there's some miscommunication. Maybe that the investigator is not, you know, managing to put this investigation forward. And I'm just wondering, what are the next steps that we do to ensure that the matter is cleared up?
You have the floor, sir.
Through the chair to Councillor McCaw, I think the next steps will be that I will continue to work with the investigator and request that he moves the investigation along. I think it's in everybody's best interest, council, the community, all parties involved, that investigation is completed in a timely fashion. If it were up to me, it would have been completed significantly earlier. I think the person who made the complaint, the members certainly that are named in that complaint, all parties involved would have certainly have liked a speedier completion of that, myself included. So I think next steps are that I'll continue to press the investigator to wrap that investigation up and report to council on his findings.
So Matt, just correct me if I'm wrong here. Didn't I read during election time, don't interviewing or investigations cease during the campaign period? And I could be wrong. If I am, I apologize. And maybe I'm catching you by surprise. Through the chair to the chair, not these specific ones. That would be an ombudsman's report. Gotcha.
There are certain reports that certain investigations. My apologies, that are in effect quashed during the nomination period and the election period, but this is not one of those.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good clarity. Okay, I'm going around the queue. Seeing none. Any motions? Pretty quiet. Notice of motions? Councillor McCaw.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. I'd like to bring forth a notice of motion for the banning of use of all animal leg hold traps in the municipality of Belleville.
Thank you. Any more notice of motions? Seeing none. Any announcements? Councillor Panchak.
Thank you very much. I just have a couple announcements, and they're both congratulations. I'd like to first of all congratulate the organizers for the very successful Food for Thought event yesterday at West Zwick's Park in support of mental health and specifically in support of suicide prevention. I want to congratulate the organizers, Ruth Estwick and Chef Matt DeMille, as well as the MC, Sean Kelly, and also the speakers that were there yesterday. It was a very well-attended event. I thought the idea of having some of our local food establishments provide samples that they were able to sell to raise money was a great concept, and I look forward to that event occurring again in the future and growing. I also wanted to say that I had the distinct pleasure yesterday to attend a 50 years of recognition of nursing for former City Councillor Patricia Culhane yesterday at the Masonic Temple here in Belleville. A full house gathered to welcome Ms. Culhane back from her working up in Canada's north and to celebrate her 50 years of being a nurse and serving our community in a variety of ways. I had the great pleasure of attending there yesterday with Councillor McCaw and met a whole bunch of people whose lives have been changed positively, and I wanted to just pass along my congratulations to her as well.
Yeah, congratulations to Pat. That's an outstanding achievement. Councillor Thompson.
I want to also congratulate the Food for Thought, and I'd like to recognize Ruth is in the audience today. She was one of the organizers, and she's with her daughter here. I just think it was a great event and to bring awareness to suicide in that community. So I just want to thank and recognize Ruth.
Good stuff. Thank you. Any more announcements on that side? We've got a couple, 3 here. Oh, this could be record time. So the first thing I have is a proclamation. I would like to proclaim September 29th as Walk a Mile in Her Shoes Day to help spread the awareness and seriousness and prevail of violence against women and their children in our communities and communities abroad. Also, some events I had the privilege of attending on behalf of the corporation. The summer graduation company at Loyalist College. It's a great story of individuals doing summer company programs, and they've graduated and they've gone on, and they get a good idea of being a young entrepreneur and a young business person in the community. Had an opportunity to attend the Pick Your Seats event at the Belleville Senators. Hockey season's coming forward. They're very excited. The facility looks absolutely beautiful. Congratulations to Director Fleur and all of his staff, and looking forward to a good hockey season for 2018 and 2019. Also had the pleasure of presenting a certificate and greetings at the 50th anniversary of the Katie Gray Trophy Yacht Club. Also, Councillor Boyce was there in attendance, and it's a very nice event. It goes on for a number of years now. There's lots of camaraderie from Prince Edward County to Belleville, and the sailboats, they go back and forth on a little friendly competition, and that night I think they had 62 boats had landed or docked or parked, whatever the official sailing figure of speech is. In that, as a matter of fact, I'd heard that Chief Mark MacDonald had participated the night before, representing some historians in that good friendly competition. Also had the pleasure of bringing greetings and being with Mrs. Betty Beer. She hosted a reception, the Seniors Day at the Quinny Exhibition, and congratulations to Mrs. Beer and her entire family. It's very nice in a gesture. She has some treats and cookies and coffees and teas, and has a karaoke, and it's a very nice event. So congratulations to Mrs. Beer and her entire family. Also had the pleasure of going to the art opening at the Parrot Gallery last week, and Councillor Thompson was in attendance and saw some of the volunteers. A couple of really nice announcements. Last council meeting, I had mentioned that ExploreNet obviously is going through and spending lots of resources in the area about internet, because we've been driving that bus about the connectivity and the lack of it. So we walked the audience in the gallery of the investment that ExploreNet makes. Well, last week I had the pleasure of being invited to Bell Canada's executive meeting with our IT department, and I can tell you there is a huge investment in the community of Belleville from Bell Canada. Bell Canada is spending $40+ million in the city of Belleville to improve the connectivity using the Bell Fiber with the internet speed of up to 940 megabytes per second and over 500 live and on-demand channels for your TV viewing. That is huge for this community. The project will take over 2 years to complete, and each area in the city of Belleville goes through a planning process, a building and operating phase. And once your area is on the grid, is completed, Bell will inform the customers via direct mailing that the service is now available to the residents. Again, that's phenomenal for this community. That's something that we've been working on for a long time, and it's nice to see that now the our corporate partners are seeing the investments we've made, so in return they're making the same investments. So we have a company called Bell Canada investing $40 million plus to the community. Bell is also increasing the number of microcells in the city of Belleville to improve the Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity to reduce the dead spots and increase internet speeds on their mobile devices. This investment will also be used to provide increased opportunity for the use of IoT, which is Internet of Things, for Bell's smart city initiatives moving forward. And I would hope from the discussion that we'd had, we'll have a nice announcement on a go-forward basis from our senior staff about Belleville pertaining to a smart city challenge. And the last one here is a national recognition. This past week, the Canadian Country Music Association held the Country Music Week in Hamilton, which included handing out some annual awards. Belleville and Quinny's Cool 100 was named the Canadian Country Radio Station of the Year, small or medium market, for the second consecutive year. That award was presented to Paul Ferguson at Saturday night's annual gala dinner and awards. Cool 100 and Starboard Communication is a proud corporation called in the Quinte area, and the community supports of local radio and country music have played a huge factor in Cool 100 winning these back-to-back awards. The key thing is here, at Friday's Industry Awards and lunch, Paul Ferguson was named the Canadian Country Music Association Music Director of the Year for a small or medium market for a record-setting 5 consecutive years. That's a great accomplishment for our community, having that corporate customer partner here, providing once again, in his quotes, that even a blind squirrel can find the odd acorn. So I didn't say that, he did. So his quote is, while we are certainly proud to be recognized as a national level once again, the accomplishments we're most proud of is serving this community, helping businesses grow and organizations deliver their message to our country-loving audience. So congratulations to those corporate individuals and Paul Ferguson, number 5 in the country. I'll wait. You can finish off that call if you want. So that brings the announcements to end. And I'm going to go to staff. We'll just go around. Chief McDonald, any comment at all?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to, there was a media release sent out earlier today, but I certainly want to remind those in the audience and the viewing audience and listening audience that tomorrow is September 11th, which is the 17th anniversary of the attack on the World Trade Center. We will remember it every year here in Belleville as long as we exist. This year we have we have partnered with Quinte West. So Quinte West is coming over and they're going to be part of our celebration, because this isn't just a Belleville thing. This is responders worldwide. So we've put the invite out to the whole region. And we also have the military has wanted to come and support and be part of that, as they are responders too. And also this year we are going to be launching a program with the military and all the emergency services, and it's called Red Fridays. And Red Fridays were something that was started during the repatriation ceremony. People remember, where you wore red on a Friday to remember those that were lost during the Afghanistan war. And the 4th Canadian Rifles has taken up the cause to keep that remembering. And Red Friday stands Remember Everyone Deployed. But it goes beyond just the deployed military. We're talking about the deployed emergency responders. We're talking about people and their families that are exposed to this type of trauma. And we think this is an excellent program to become involved with and have that conversation about how to remember and support people in their time of need. And it was mentioned earlier in this council meeting about suicide prevention, and that's a conversation that has to occur. Emergency responders are 4 to 5 times more likely to take their lives, and it impacts their family members. So we're going to be launching that campaign, because there were those that are lost in horrific events like 9/11, but there's still people being lost every day, and we need to reach out and help those people. So I welcome the public, the media, and anybody to please come tomorrow around 8:30. We're going to start an 8:30 march to the flags. We're going to be lowering the flags. There's going to be some dignitaries there to share some words, and I just ask that people take a moment and pause and reflect upon what's important in life and in society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice words. Anybody else is okay staff-wise? We're seeing good? Everybody's fine? Excellent. Okay. So we need number 14, a confirmatory bylaw. The bylaw 2018-147, a bylaw confirm the proceedings of council of the meeting held today, the 10th of September 2018, be read first, second, and third time. Moved by Councillor Miller, second by Councillor Deniers. All in favor? That's carried. I need a motion to adjourn. Okay, Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Deniers. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Have a nice evening.